Hi guys, welcome. We are here in a cafe in Santiago de Compostela, and we have yourself, Francisco, and Silvia, who are doing a lot of tremendous work for Follow the Camino as guides. Maybe before we start talking about your job and what you do, can you introduce yourself briefly?
Hi guys, my name is Francisco. I have been guiding here on the Camino for many years. I actually grew up in a town called Ponferrada it's right on the French Camino, so I've always been very familiar with the Camino since I was very little.
Very good. And yourself, Silvia?
So, hello guys, my name is Silvia. I'm from Bilbao. Actually, before working in the Camino as a guide, I was a mountain guide, so my experience was in Himalayas, Aconcagua, high mountains, and that was until I discovered the Camino, fall in love with this, so this is my path now.
Great stuff. So, tell us a bit about the Camino. When is the first time you walked the Camino, and how did you get to make guiding on the Camino your job?
Actually, it's quite funny because I didn't appreciate the Camino at the time. Being a mountain guide, I always thought, why do people come and walk the Camino when you can walk the mountains, right? And then just out of coincidence, I did a Camino work and I fell in love with it. So after that, I walked the Camino on my own. It took me 3 months when normally it takes people 1 month to walk it.
What happened to you?
I kept meeting people, and I wanted to learn the Camino with the stories of the people, not with the guides. So the people, every time I saw a bar with 3 people in there, I just went in, had a glass of wine with them, and they would tell me the legends, the stories, and so it took me 3 months. And I fell in love with it, and I moved to Galicia to live in the Camino itself, and it's my passion, walking this thing.
Very good. Francisco, what about yourself?
Well, being from a town on the Camino is common for many people to walk the Camino when you are very young. I actually walked the Camino as a pilgrim before I was a guide when I was in my 20s. Then I didn't actually pay much attention to the Camino. I went traveling, and I was traveling around the world. I started guiding, working as a tour guide in Asia, leading many groups of tourists in Southeast Asia mostly. But then I moved back to Spain and came back to the Camino, and I think it was the best choice I could ever done because it's wonderful to be here.
So it seems to me that you guys have traveled around quite a bit. You, Silvia, you've experienced the mountains, so something a bit more challenging. That was probably when you were younger as well, or maybe in your 20s. Oh, sorry, we're all getting old
now. We are too old.
And
Experienced, I will call us. We're experienced guys.
and maybe Francisco, it might be a bit the same for you, where you're in Southeast Asia and so on. Do you think it has anything to do with not age, but when at some stage you've experienced some part of the world farther away, and that now you wanted to come back home?
Well, what I think is that after traveling, moving around quite a lot in the past years, and doing guiding, leading groups in many other places, not on the Camino, I think that the Camino has something special that nowhere else does. It's amazing. I don't know. Traveling, walking the Camino is a unique experience that you don't get anywhere else.
How unique? What is this uniqueness how would you describe it to people who've never done the Camino?
It's I guess it's the walking, all the walking that you do, the nature, our culture here in Spain, how our groups, how we get together and you make friends for a lifetime. Sometimes, normally you go back home after walking the Camino with new friends that are gonna be there for you forever. I've seen that. It's not, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but I've seen that a lot. And even for us as a guide, we sometimes become very good friends with some of our clients in the groups. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like that before anywhere else.
Very good. Yourself, Silvia, would you say that the Camino for people will bring this friendship amongst people in the group?
Yeah, I think making an effort together always joins us. It's a good bondage, and I think that's actually the big part of it, because it is a mystery to me why people will fly from Australia or other areas of the world to walk the Camino and come back and come back. And I think, I'm not sure, it's one of the mysteries about the Camino, but I think the people, the other pilgrims, the experience of going through it together, doing it with joy, doing it laughing, doing it with freedom, you know, and that's what creates a good bondage. You know, the other pilgrims that come from all over the world, the energy that we create by walking this thing, that could be it. No, I'm not even sure what makes this Camino magic. It is magic.
Tell me something. The bonding that happened during the walk, and you said that when people almost suffer together, this is what creates that bonding. You walked in mountainous areas and in more challenging places. How difficult is the Camino?
Compared to mountains in the Himalayas or the Aconcagua, obviously it's not. I mean, it's easier and we are more prepared. Good thing about the Camino nowadays is that it is prepared for people in any physical shape, with any hiking experience. So I think also because it is so well marketed, it's easy for people to really enjoy it. They don't have to worry about where do I have to turn, where do I have to sleep.
It is very safe as well.
Yeah,
it's safe.
very safe. So I think
you always feel safe in the concert.
Yeah, but it is challenging for sure. Walking 100 kilometers in 1 week, especially for some people who normally do not walk. But it is feasible. Everybody can do it.
When you get a group, you see people of different abilities, and most of the time you don't know them. So how do you see a group coming in, and how the week is going to go? Are they going to be on the more challenging side for them? How do you gauge that? And how do you manage the people through that week? Some of them, they'll be flying, they might arrive in Santiago before, some of them might be struggling a bit more. Can you tell us a bit about the group, the psychology, on the day and during the week?
Well, the way I do it, I don't know about Silvia, because every guide has his own method. The way I do it, I always give everybody leeway to feel relaxed and to walk at their own pace. You don't put any pressure on anybody. We are a group. We spend a week together as a group, but we're also individuals. So I always let my people do their own thing. I'm always around them. You always move around. You look after your groups. You check on them, but at the same time, you let them do their own thing. And that's the way they feel most comfortable to enjoy their own personal Camino. That's the way I do it.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think good thing is that we gave them a safe place to have their own adventure. So it's always a good balance in between. We give you comfort, we help you do it. We're here for you in case you need us. But in my opinion as well, we should honor this is a pilgrimage, and some people need to walk it faster, some people need silence, some people come for the social. So in a couple of days we get to know what each person needs. So we give them a lot of freedom, but safety and care. But we need to give each group and each person whatever they need, because they all come here for different reasons, and they all come here with different levels of hiking experience, different ages, different disabilities, and we can accommodate it all. So the key is freedom and respect for all of them, so they walk. And we only appear like a magic way, right? When they need us.
At the right time.
At the right time. It's magic. Yeah.
That sounds like a very easy job.
We can't complain. It's
No,
not so bad.
I love my job.
Sometimes we have hard times, but I think it's very enjoyable, and we are part. We are always as a guide in charge of the group, but we blend in so well with the group that it's easy for us to lead these trips and be part of the groups as friends.
Let me ask you something. As you said, Silvia, the Camino is not difficult technically, or Francisco, you were saying that as well, it's safe. Although for some people it's still a challenge. I compare that maybe to there is an Everest for everybody, right? So I was joking when I was saying that your job seems very easy, you know? Can you tell us a bit about some challenging times when some people were maybe struggling a bit more, and how you overcame that, and how did the people react, and were they happy, not happy? What was their experience?
To me, when it becomes more challenging is when people are not doing the Camino or walking the way they really should or need or want, you know, and some people don't accept their limitations. And I think sometimes our job as a guide is to, well, first make them feel safe, and it is really not important if we get you in a taxi for the last 5 kilometers one day. It's better to save your energy, save your feet, and don't feel any guilt about that, because this is not about making 95 or 100 kilometers to me. This is about experiencing this pilgrimage and accepting that you have limitations. To me, the hardest is when I see people going beyond their limits and hurting themselves and missing out pretty much a lot, you know, by trying to rush into the hotel. Because no matter how beautiful the hotel room is, the Camino is going to be more beautiful. And sometimes it's hard to pass the message because everybody wants to arrive. And when I see people walking beyond their capacity or limitations, I think that's one of the tricky things in our job.
So how would you talk to somebody about that, and how would you make them change slightly how they approach the Camino and so on? Like maybe, Fran, you had such cases.
What do you mean?
People maybe push themselves a bit too much, and how do you get them to maybe slow down? Or
we do a lot of every day we do meetings. We talk to our groups. We give a lot of tips for the day. Every day we do that, and sometimes when it is needed, when we have some people that are way too determined or stubborn, and they, as Silvia was saying, they push themselves too much, but they are not able to. I mean, they are not so fit to do that. We just try to make them
comfort them?
Yeah, comfort them. I don't know.
Well, sometimes you have to accept. I mean, it's up to a point we can tell people. We talk to them as I would talk to my friend. Or I tell them, maybe that's not what I would do, but we also need to accept that sometimes we need to be watching them making those mistakes. And those are the ones we need to watch in case they hurt themselves, because I mean, all of us are adults here, we are pilgrims, and sometimes we just need to tell it, say it, propose it, and let people make mistakes sometimes.
And tell me something, so sometimes the Camino is a challenge for some people, but I would say it's a minority of people when they might not have prepared as much, or maybe they have a bad day. Yesterday, Silvia, we were talking to one of your group member who had 3 pairs of shoes and still got blisters. You know, she had the hiking shoes, she had the runner, she had this and that. So sometimes there is this side. But do you sometimes have to stop people from stopping by every bar, a bit like Silvia?
I let them go. I let them do it. I had somebody in my last tour. It took her 12 hours to make 25 kilometers. Normally it takes what, 5 hours?
Sí, so yeah.
She told me, I'll meet you at dinner tonight. I want to walk this at my own pace, and I'm going to stop in every bar, in every place I want to make a picture. So we're here also to give a space for those people. So yeah, she arrived at 8 in the evening to the hotel. I will never stop somebody from that. I let people walk as much as slow as they want and give freedom. As long as I know where they are and that they're safe, fine with me.
That's great. So tell us about the journey of people. Have you seen people transform through the trip, coming on a Saturday?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes people come to the Camino not knowing what the Camino is like, not knowing what the Camino is about, very unsecure, and then when we start walking, as days go on, you see that people getting more confident and stronger. Those that from the very beginning were not sure, they couldn't have that confidence in themselves. You see that a lot. And then arriving in Santiago last days, it can be a very transforming, changing experience. It is actually to most pilgrims walking the Camino. It's not just our groups. When you arrive in Santiago, when you walk into Obradoiro Square in front of the cathedral, you see the cathedral, you see how emotional most people get. I'm sure that people go back home, something has changed in them when they go home after being here.
And I think that's obviously when you're guiding a group, it's your role of that. I think as we were talking about, is almost to allow people to grow and to gain some sort of independence. And the Camino is I suppose just a medium for that, a mean to get that independence about walking 20-25 kilometers every day, having the odd blisters that might make things more challenging, meeting people, and you can see them grow to the end of the trip and so on. Tell us about on the main square when you arrive there with people. Tell us about a couple of stories, people who, I don't know, impressed you, made you laugh, made you cry. I don't know.
Let me go here because I always have. I had a man from England who sang opera. I think you saw us. Weren't you there when we arrived? And all of a sudden he started singing opera right there, and the whole square was looking at us. I mean, it just came out. He just felt the inspiration, and well, it's always an experience for sure. Very emotional, a lot of joy as well. So we roll on the floor. We go barefoot and take pictures of our injured feet and laugh about it. It's a big joy to make it there and feel the energy of that square. So
yeah, you get a lot of people. You see a lot of people when walking onto the square, singing, big groups of people, pilgrims coming from all over, coming from the French Camino, from the Portuguese Camino, from wherever everybody comes there. And as they walk into the square, people sing, they sing all along together, cheering each other. It's a fun time to be there at this square.
Yeah, amazing energy in that square.
Yeah, there is. So that's great. Now, give us some idea or maybe some stories about very funny moments that you had along the Camino, or something. A couple of.
There was a lady. She wasn't in our group, but this is something that we saw in the newspapers, on the news, 1 or 2 years ago. This lady from Austria, I think she was from Vienna. She was with an older woman with her group, and she was missing. She was missing. So it was like, oh my God, she was missing for 2 days. Nobody could find her. The police was patrolling around searching for her. Nobody could find her. And apparently this woman, she was a little bit senile. She went off the track in the forest, the last walking from, I don't know if he was walking from Arzúa to Pedroso, from Pedroso to Santiago. So she went off the track. She was missing. Nobody could find her. For 2 days missing, and then 2 days later she was found. She appeared at a rock music festival in Santiago on her own.
She walked all the way, yeah?
And the thing is that when she went off the track, she couldn't find the way back to the Camino. And it was in the summer, so it was good weather. She slept on the ground in the forest on her own while the police was looking for her. The whole group of hers and her guide. I'm glad that I wasn't her guide, because that guide must have been very stressed. And yet 2 days later, she was there at a rock music festival in Santiago.
That's a brilliant story.
Unbelievable.
Now, that's great. Tell us about some places that you like to pass by every time you go. I don't know, some bars and some special memories. I know that you, Fran, you play the guitar, but you don't bring your guitar as you walk, do you?
No, I do all the time. I do. Sometimes I serenade my grooves, but not always. And yeah, things on the Camino, I don't know, landmarks on the Camino, places that we recommend.
The river in Ribadizo.
That river in Ribadizo is a nice place to soak your feet in.
Yeah.
The Celtic village on day one. Is day one or day two? Day one, when we walk from Sarria or from Porto. On day two, this Celtic settlement that not many people know about, that you can go off the path to visit it. We always recommend that people go have a look. There's quite a few interesting places, and then of course many bars and restaurants and cafes all along the way where you can always hang out with other pilgrims, make new friends.
And for you, Silvia, what do you think in terms of food, drinks? What are the things nice?
Well, what I always tell my pilgrims is that in Galicia, in the Camino is not about luxury. Okay, we're not going to find luxury in the food in the Camino. We're going to find fresh food, very cheap, very basic, and a lot of vegetables, good fish, good meat, basic but fresh. Pretty much homemade, because most of the business in the Camino are family run, which I think is a luxury to have family run. Sometimes it's worth the wait, and I think the food is one of the things that the pilgrims appreciate the most, for sure, because it's fresh, it's cheap, good wine as well. Everybody loves Galician wine. We have everything to enjoy here. Good food, good wine, good beer, best beer in Spain. Straight.
That's great. So that sounds great. So guys, it is great, the work that you're doing. I think 3 years ago, Follow the Camino, we started to name our guided tour, from guided tour to make friends for life. And I think it summarizes a bit what you, Francisco, was talking about, and so on. That the experience, and yourself, Silvia, that we see people transforming. So that's great, and I think that encompasses the Camino. Friendship, no luxury, as you said, but still comfortable, very comfortable hotels and so on. The other treat as well, upgrade, etc. So that's really great. I think. Which route would you maybe give us the route that you prefer? Doesn't mean that the others are not great, but that you prefer, and maybe some tips for people who wish to walk Camino, either on a guided tour or self-guided tour. What would you tell people who want to?
Can we go first?
Go for it.
I really love the Portuguese coast Camino. For some reason, I feel it has a great energy to be walking next to the ocean. There is less people than in the French Camino. I love the flowers, I love the colors. I always feel of it as a more feminine energy Camino compared to the French Camino, which I feel is solid, is inland, is authentic, it's genuine, it's more masculine, but that's just my thoughts about it. I really like that one. And I mean, I don't know if I can give anybody any advice without knowing them previously, but just come.
That's great.
If sometimes you're bored, you're feeling life is trapping you, just come to walk. As simple as walking can make a big difference in the mind. A lot of peace in the mind when you walk the Camino.
Thank you. And yourself, Francisco?
I agree with Silvia that I really like the coastal Portuguese Camino a lot, but the central Portuguese Camino is good as well. The French Camino, the last bit of the French Camino from Sarria to Santiago, is good too. It's more crowded, but it's good. So either one of them is a great experience. Tips, well, it's not the usual things. Tips: if you are a fit person, then you may not have to do any training before. But if you are not used to walking, please go for a long walks at least 1 or 2 weeks before you come to the Camino, and be prepared for some hills, because I always tell my groups that the Camino is not so difficult, but it can be a bit challenging depending on how fit you are, and it's a bit more than a simple stroll in the park.
That's great. Thank you very much, Francisco, Silvia.
Come to the Camino next year. I want to see you here.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, guys.
Bye.